Welcome to episode number 2 of SNG Weekly. This week we're going to work on, of course, the D, and the big prime focus right now is to finish the D, to get all the decals on it. I'm going to try to get 90% of them on today, which is Monday, so that we can then do a matte coat on top of those and seal them in and put the surface back to being matte finished instead of gloss, which it is right now. Now the reason we make it gloss is so that the decals will slide on very easily and we don't get what's called icing. And what icing is, if you don't know what that is where air gets trapped between the rough surface of the paint and the decal, and so you see this sort of whitish at certain angles that you don't want to see. So let's get this week started. We're looking for decal 139. Now you see all these decals. What I want to put is the lifeboats on, or the escape pods, whatever you like to call them. There are a freaking million of them on this model, and they really need to go on first. So we're looking for 139. We're going to start over here, and let's see, 139, 139. I see 139. I see lots of 139. So this is obviously a very common number. We're going to now keep in mind these decals are probably pretty old since they haven't made this model in a while. What I want to do first, since I have 2 sheets of these, thank goodness, is and these are the ones that come with the model, is just put them in some water, just like that. And if they break up on me, I know the decals got old. Now sometimes, you know, if they sit around for a few years, they'll look fine to you, and you put them in water and they just disintegrate. There is a way sometimes that will work to fix that, and that is to spray it with some Testors decal fixative. It's made for making your own decals because you have to spray them so that the inks don't run from inkjet printer. But it turns out that they actually preserve the old decals. It kind of binds them together and you can still use them. Not always, but sometimes. So we're looking for this to be pretty wet. It's getting there, I think. Let's see what I can do here. Those seem to stay together. A little water under there, a little water under there. I'm going to take a pin and kind of do this. And then we're going to take this part that broke up. Now, they don't seem to be breaking up that badly, just this one part. So that might have been a crack. So we'll just kind of do that and stick it back together. So we'll just soak some of the water out and push it in there, and the decal's back in one piece again. I'm not sure if it's in the right position, but it is in one piece again. So, see? Now I got to do that over this entire hull. As you can clearly see, I have, and I have to be very careful because they like to go flying off of here if I'm not careful, but I have 90% of the decals on the top of this model. A lot of them broke up, and I very carefully reassembled them using a magnifier and you know, a little pin, and pushed them all back together. Now you'll see that these are kind of lumpy and bumpy. That's because they have setting solution on them. Where the setting solution has finally gone off, you can see that these are quite flat. You can't even feel them. It's like they're painted on. By tomorrow they'll all be that way as the model dries. But it's looking really, really neat. What I have to do now, and this is how I've been doing it, is I've been putting on this thing here. And, you know, it looks like there's a lot of decals left to put on. In fact, there are not. Most of them are on the bottom. They have to go on, but they give you things, and they're a handful. There are these little red guys here, and I'm just going to cut them off here. These go around all the ends of the phaser arrays. They're just big enough that they do show, so I am going to have to put them on. I'm going to start by putting them on around the ends of these. These I have to paint as well, so I'll need 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, and 4, which tells me how many are left to go on still. These are the ones that break up the worst, are the small ones. So I'm finding if I just use a brush and push them off, they go on pretty well. They're going to go here as soon as that loosens up. Back to little tiny decals. Little tiny decals. You start to go goofy after a while. I'm going to sneak this decal on there as I just did. And using a brush and being careful not to disturb any of the other decals that are already put on, we put it right there. We'll get some water under. And this is why they pay us the big bucks, right, Mary? So there, now we got those little red guys around the phaser banks. And now I got to go do it to the rest of them. I'm popping some bubbles here that I see. This will help relieve some pressure underneath these decals so they go flat during the night. Plus, by making these pinhole like this, the Solvaset, which you would think would just dissolve the heck out of these things, it's not doing that though. The decal material is pretty tough, despite it cracking. So what we're doing is we're getting the last of the decals on, as you can see from where Mary's shooting. All the top ones are on. Now we're putting on these handily to have the Christie's auction pictures, so I get them in approximately the right positions. I say approximately because this model is not exactly Canon. Although we've done a lot of mods to it with various companies' mods, mostly Dawn's Light and Magic, we still have things that will never be correct. But overall, I think the model looks really, really nice, and I'll be very happy to have one, and so will Mary. So we're going to get these little markers here, which, you know, if you were just some kid building this model and didn't have the wherewithal to go on the internet and look at Christie's auction, then you wouldn't get these in the right spot, because they just point arrows to an angle looking down on the pylons. So you'd really have no idea where they went, except somewhere on the pylons. You look your whole life. I've even checked off the decals I've put on and where they went on the instructions, and you get to certain decals that I swear they're not even talked about. So we're getting most of them on the bottom. I'm trying to get all the small little annoying ones on first. Some of them need a little readjustment. A small little deal that I overlooked on this model, and they're not apparent at all on this engineering section, so there's really no way I can affect where they go. They don't even have the edge on the engineering section correct. However, on the edge of the saucer section, I said, geez, you know, there's something missing here. There's supposed to be some black concentric marks on the front here. Yeah, they're called windows, and I completely overlooked them. And when I was on the internet, I was trying to see what other people had done, because I really didn't think I could light these. But looking at the other guys' work, and there are other guys out there doing this stuff, and they basically, what they did is they marked them, but they didn't light them. And I don't know why that was, because this is nothing but one big solid piece of clear material. So even if I had paint up in here and light blocking material, as I did have, it's still, and I've said this many times, going to transmit light. if all this was painted to here and I had a big light source there, it's still going to transmit through there. Granted, it won't be as bright as these are, but they're bright. I sure enough, they can light up. I mean, after all, we got 10 forward here, and so what I'm doing is I'm scratching out more windows because, you know, I could just leave it the way the other guys did, but I really give a rat's you know what about my work, and I really want this to be the best possible model it can be. So we are scratching out more windows. Here I thought it was all done. I got all the decals on. I was getting ready to take it downstairs because it can have its clear coat put on it, and I discovered that I had lifted out the windows along the saucer rim. If we turn the lights off for a second, Mary, I can turn on the lights and we can see, turn on the lights on the ship and we can see just how well these show up. Now I'm going to do some of these turned off. Now I think you can see that these are lit up, sure enough, and they're lit up pretty darn well. Even though there's light blocking material on the other side that's squirted through and it's black up in there, they're still showing up. So I think it's very important to light these windows up, and you know, that's what you get when you get a model from us. We go the extra mile. We try to get as close to a studio model as possible, because after all, I worked for the studios and I worked in motion pictures, and my name goes by on credits every day, and I worked on Star Trek, and you're just going to get a great model from all those years of experience. And that's what we do. Before I leave here tonight, I'm going to do about another 300 to 400 windows on this model. My client deserves it. And plus, you know, I'm very proud of what I do, and I want everything I do to be the best that I can do and not take any shortcuts. There's a lot of shortcuts taken out there. I've seen a lot of good models built by some of the other builders that are really good. I mean, I look at them, I go, this is really a nice model, but it hasn't gone all the way, you know? I mean, things like the deflector dish is tinted blue. It's not supposed to be tinted blue. It's supposed to be orange. The light you see on it's reflecting from behind the main deflector, which is also painted copper, not orange, and so on and so forth. So, you know, I'm my own worst curse, but now I got a lot more windows to do, and I thought I was done with all of them. So let's get on with it, and we'll come back and look at these windows when they're all lit up, and you'll see the difference. What I'm doing now is I am putting in these little windows that should have been marked on the side of the hull here, engineering section. I'm using a rat tail file on edge, which actually carves the window in and lights it at the same time without chipping. And I don't know if you can see that, Mary, but right there I just put in those 3 windows there on the edge that I see that are right here on the Christie's auction model. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to kind of put in some others. There's 2 that go here. I wanted to check before I finish today if this in fact will work, and it does. And if you look here, you'll see that I've got 10 forward in. These I did with a pin and chipping at it, and all it does was chip the paint. And then I finally got the smart idea, and in no time I had these top ones done. Now, interestingly enough, the bottom saucer marks where the windows are. The top saucer on this edge has no indication at all where the darn things go. So I had to look at Christie's auctions model and all that and put them in. So these are nasty. I'm going to paint over them tomorrow because it's right on the edge. Luckily, I just put the dark blue on there. And then as soon as it dries, I just take this file and I do this with it. Because you can see it better here. I'll do one right here so you can see it up here. Can you can see where I'm doing sort of okay, Mary? And there you see I get this really nice straight window. just like that. So I'm going to go back over tomorrow and redo all these down here. So I was able to put 10 forward in, and I was even able to put in the officers' lounge windows, which are not apparent on this model. They have little blobs there, and those are supposed to be something is, important. This tells me that the people making these models probably aren't Star Trek fans. Surprise, because every episode for every year for 7 seasons, you saw the Enterprise go past the camera into frame, and you would see those officer lounge windows in there, and you could even see somebody moving inside there. Doug used to talk about that, Doug Drexler, and how cool that was. So they didn't even add them. They had little blobs there that were supposed to be windows, and they did not mark the windows on the saucer edge except on the lower part of the saucer, none on the top. So I had to figure out where all those went and mark those in as well. No small deal. I'm going to turn the lights off. My nose will start running. And I might sound a little grumpy to you, but that's because, what was it? 2 weeks ago, I had a root canal. A really bad one. In a molar. And I went back today to get the crown done, which means that they have to put you under again, surgically remove some of your gum with a laser, then grind your tooth down, and so that they can hook up a temporary to it. It took about 3 hours in the chair, so I'm a little out of it, but bound and determined, despite all that, to finish this model. Now you can see how beautiful the lights are looking. You have to be very careful with this model because the saucer is so heavy, so much heavier than the engineering section, then they want to get away from each other. Well, now you can see 10 forward right up there. You can see all the other wonderful windows that are on the edge now that weren't there before. And if you look on the edge of the engineering section, you got it. Those weren't marked either. So I scribed those in with the same file, and as you can see, you can actually see the darn things. They do show up. I'll hold it still for Mary because I move around a bit. It just adds so much having those windows out on those outer edges, and there's 10 forward, and everybody's in there having a good time. Have some synthahol for me, would you? Synthahol. You know what Scotty thought of that. So, oh yes, and then there's the officer lounge windows, which you can now apparently see. That was really hard to do because what I ended up doing was scribing those in as well. And that's a good trick after the bridge bubble is actually, well, that's the actual bridge, but this whole upper section, I guess that would be C deck, maybe I'm not, I don't know, is on. I couldn't remove it. It wouldn't pop loose, so I had to do it by hand very carefully, not scoring into this. Of course, anytime you score into any part of this model, you have light coming through. So we are just about there. I am going to now get one light leak that's driving me crazy, and I'm going to put clear on this model. And tomorrow, after the clear dries, we're going to go over it one more time and just look over everything. And then if I like what I see, it's finished. We are finished with the Enterprise. We are finished. We are finished. We are finished. I am going to paint this black. That's the only thing, and that of course will take days and days. No, actually, it will take no time at all. In fact, I'm going to do it here in a minute. But other than that, it's completely done. This disconnects here. We got a nice long cord on this regulated power supply, which regulated means that basically what it means is that when the circuit board in there causes the strobe lights and the nav lights to blink, we don't end up having them dim the main lights for the windows. So we're going to plug this in, and we're going to plug this into here. Okay, we've dimmed the lights down a little bit more, and we're going to plug it in, and that's how it looks lit up. That scared me for a second because, you know, if these aren't just in there just right, they blink. It's these plugs. But we're fine. So we are all lit up and looking really nice. And this is what it looks like with office lighting. And of course, if this thing was out flying through space, you wouldn't see the windows that bright anyway with a lot of sunlight. Only in the shadows in real light, like in real lighting effects, which is what I've been trying to go through with this model. I didn't want to have the windows so bright that you could see them when you had your office lights on, because it's not very realistic. If they were bright enough to be seen in an office, glaring out of there, everybody inside would be blind. Nobody would be able to see. They've lost their eyesight long ago. Their retinas would be burned out. So, but you notice if Mary brings the camera down underneath into the shadows, you can see the neck lights and the edge lights, the deflector. You can see the tail lights. You can see the strobes blinking clearly. But now we're going to drop the lights even further. And in a second, I'll tell you why I'm in this uniform. So we're going to drop the lights. Oh, I don't have to yell anymore. I've got a lavalier on. You can see. You can still see the ship, and you can just see how beautiful it is. And we will turn it around here so you can see it all the way around. If we get a chance tomorrow or over the weekend, we will take some pictures against green screen and or some video. You might want to shoot underneath too, Mary, looking up and from underneath, so you see all the stuff underneath here too. Get like down really low and come up so you see the bottom. Looks really nice. I put that dome in finally that's supposed to be there, and you can see just how well the officers' lounge is lit up. And of course we've got all these edge lights really showing up well, and there's 10 forward down here. You can see all the lights. It's making my finger glow right there. I think that she turned out really well in the end. This model took about 8 weeks, 9 weeks to complete out of the box. But we did work on the skydiver, and we had lots of other projects going on. We did not work on this every day, so I think the amount of time it took was pretty reasonable. It wasn't without its problems. Next stop for this model is Beijing, and that's where she's going. She's going to her home in China. This will be the second or third project we've done for this client. I can't remember. We've done at least 2. We did the X-Wing, and now we've done this. It was a difficult model because of the clear material. It was a difficult model because they left out a lot of details. Dawn's Light Magic really helped a great deal on this model in making it more like the studio model with the add-ons and extras, as well as Paul's paragraphics that Dawn sells exclusively for this model, giving us the brass parts. Randy Newbert, of course, his board is excellent. It's what's given us our nice blinking strobes. I can't thank everyone enough that helped contribute to this model coming out as well as it did. I take a lot of pride, Mary and I both take a lot of pride in the model work and the prop work and the creature work that we do here. We try to go the extra mile, and that's why we charge what we charge for these models. Let's go downstairs, and I'm going to tell you why I'm wearing this uniform. Well, last time I was in this captain's chair in this uniform, I was about 60 pounds heavier. But I've got a new one of these, and this one actually fits. And the reason I'm wearing it is because this Saturday at 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I believe it is, we are having our first annual anniversary party to celebrate the doors being open at SNG for a solid year. Thanks to all you and all your support and all your work and contracts and commissions and and support and love for our show and what we do here at SNG, Mary and I have been able to keep the doors open a solid year, and we thank you a great deal. So come celebrate with us Saturday here at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a great time, and it's cosplay. You don't have to come in costume, but if you got a costume, you can dress as Darth Vader, you can dress up as a fairy, you can dress up as Puck, you can dress up as Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, or anyone else in Starfleet or in the Star Trek universe. Oh yes, I said Darth Vader. And I all know you have Darth Vader costumes. Or you can come as a rebel. We all know what Model Man Tom's probably going to come as. So, so we're just going to have fun, and we're just going to shoot the breeze, party, eat some food, and celebrate a year at SNG. And that's going to close our weekly show for this week. We'll see you on the flip side next week.